Hi, I'm Kim, coming to you today from the beautiful Dominican Republic. Have you ever had days where you felt completely unbalanced? I sure have. And I'm not talking about just about physical balance, but something inside, maybe our emotions, our mind. So today's practice is going to combine not only some yoga moves, but some poses, some moves that are going to help us with flexibility and overall balance. Finding that hopefully at the end of these 30 minutes you feel more equanimity and certainly more self-love. So let's come into a standing posture. For today's practice, as always, please have some water close by. And we may use a strap at points, and a chair will help us to balance at certain points. So have those things ready as we begin. So with your feet a little wider than your hips, let's just begin finding some fluid motion in our hips by taking some big circles. I like to pretend that I've got a hula hoop on as I'm making these circles. Although, boy, I don't know about you, I've tried the hula hoop so many times over the years, I still can't get it. Let's switch directions. Maybe you have mastered it and you can figure out how to move your hips and keep that hula hoop from sliding down your feet. If you've got any great tips, please send them to me. All right, just a couple more. All right, coming back to center, let's get a lateral stretch. Often in our yoga poses or flexibility, we can miss this whole side stretching. So let's, you've got that chair, always remember, I'm going to step my right foot behind my left to get a stretch not only into my side ribs, but into my hips. And then reaching your arms overhead, taking a hold of your opposite wrist and feeling this C curve in your body. So taking some deep breaths into your side body. Now if that's not available into your shoulders to take that side stretch and hold your wrist, no problem. Just reach your arms out to the side or even hands on your hips. 2 more breaths. Wonderful. Release your feet and let's switch sides. Stepping foot, crossing foot behind the other and bending to your side, perhaps taking a hold of your wrist or totally fine to keep your hands on your hips. Every day we get compression in our rib cage and our spine, so yoga and these flexibility postures will help to create some space between each rib and between each vertebra. 2 more breaths. Beautiful. We've got a light breeze blowing out here. Hope you can enjoy this view with me. All right. So let's come into a pose that I call mountain pose, and it helps us to find that balance. So using the chair or not, you decide. I'm going to reach one arm up, maybe reach both arms up. Again, you can have your arms out to the sides with thumbs face up to the sky. So you might find a point on the earth to gaze at that can help you to keep your balance. You're drawing your navel to spine, core strength certainly helps with balance. And if you want to challenge yourself just a little bit more, maybe lift your heels off the floor. Woo, I feel that. For a few breaths in tall mountain. Beautiful. Lower down, shrug out your shoulders, just bounce any tension off the top of your shoulders and roll out your wrists, maybe shake out your feet, rolling out your ankles. And now we're going to imagine we're sitting down into a chair. So your weight is in your heels. Your hands can stay at prayer, or you can place your hands on your hips. So you can see my spine is nice and long and chest is lifted. Collarbones nice and broad. So you can stay right here. If you want to add a little bit more challenge, you're going to step your right toes forward, right toe out to the side, right toe back, and then right toe foot diagonal. Do that a few times, stepping it forward and back, out to the side and back. Take it straight back. Bring it back to center and take it diagonal. Can you already feel that in your leg and feeling that balance? Let's do that one more time. Take it forward, out to your side, straight back, and diagonal. Beautiful. All right. Always those hip circles feel nice in between to get some flexibility in our hip joints and low back. All right, let's make our way back down into our chair pose. So remember, keeping your chest lifted. We don't want to round forward, so keep it nice and lifted. Doesn't matter how low you come. Hands could stay in prayer, or take your hands to your hips, shifting your weight to your right leg, and bring your left foot forward. Take it back. Really finding that balance in our standing leg. Take it out to the side and back. Take your foot straight back. Come back to center. And lastly, out to a diagonal and back to center. So do that a couple more times. Forward. Remember, you've got your chair right next to you to hold on to. Last round. Step that foot forward. Out to your side, back, and diagonal. Wonderful. All right. Shake out those hips or take some hip circles once again. All right. So there's 6 directions of our spine that we want to move daily. Some type of forward fold. It might be something like this, holding a chair. Some type of back bend. Some lateral stretches, which we just did, and a twist, right and left. There's 6 directions of our spine, if I can get my fingers in the right spot. So we want to do those every day, and we'll experience all of those in this practice today. So for this next move, it's a standing back bend. So with your feet in mountain pose, draw your navel to spine. Reach your arms up to the sky, and then goal post your arms. You'll begin to feel a broadening of your collarbones and chest here. And keep pushing your feet strongly into the floor. And take 5 breaths here. Back bends are energizing. You might feel that vitality. And feel your balance, equally distributed in right and left foot. Breathe out the excess energy, the adrenaline, let it out. One more. Beautiful. Shrug out your shoulders, tap your heels, release any held tension, physically and mentally. All right, this next move, I call it half jumping jacks. So we remember the old jumping jacks, and we're not going to do any jumping. So we can think about this as half jacks without jumping. So we're going to step my right foot out to my right side, reaching my arms up and back down. Reach those arms up as you step your foot out to the other side and back down. So as I've stated before, it doesn't matter how high your arms go. We want to keep our chest open, and if your thumbs are facing up to the sky, then we keep our collarbones broad, moving safely. That's always the important thing here, is moving safely. So I'm staying low. There's a soft bend in knees. I invite you to keep that soft bend in your knees, keeping your chest lifted. Can you feel how much is going on here with our balance? Pairing breath with movement. That's what yoga is. It's all about awareness. All right, so we're going to add a little bit more here. Instead of reaching up every time, I'm going to reach forward. Reach it up. This is good for our brain as well. And reach it forward. Taking it up and taking it forward. Now, research has found that when we use some sound, when we add some sound and vibration, that is very stimulating, good for our brain. So each time I come forward, or you come forward, both of us come forward, maybe you want to add some sound, and it'll go like this. Ha. Breathe in. Ha. Breathe in. A few more. Ha. Stretching up and to the front. Ha. Last 3. All right, roll those shoulders back and down. Twice more. Roll your shoulders back and down, creating that openness in your chest and shoulders, and back and down. And just stand with your palms forward in mountain for a moment. Feel free to close your eyes or gaze down and find a little bit of recovery after all that movement that we just did. Feeling the stability beneath your feet. Mountain pose helps us to remember to get centered, to get grounded, to get present every day. Get out of that busy mind of racing thoughts. Come back to you. 3 more breaths in mountain. All right, let's continue to work on our balance in this class today. So, taking your left foot, stepping it out to the left side, adding a lunge. You might feel that in your inner thigh, maybe your hamstring, maybe even your IT band. And then we'll step it back to center. And then switching it out, stepping your right foot out to the side, keeping your chest lifted, and back to center. We'll do that a few times. Stepping out to the side, taking a side lunge, come back to center, stepping it out opposite. Again, spine nice and long. The pace is entirely up to you. So it's not important that you go fast. Just do it with safety in mind. Taking a few more. Again, keep your chest lifted as you move. Come back to center. Tap it out. Bounce your heels, bounce your shoulders. Let go of any held tension in your shoulders. How are you feeling? You might feel your energy increasing. That's a good thing when we start to find our balance and our equanimity. Let's take our chair and we're going to have a seat into it now. Let's take a sip of water though. Remember how important hydration is every day. All right, so have a seat in your chair as we take a sip of water together. So eagle pose is a hip opener and shoulder opener. So I'm going to invite you to cross left leg or right leg over left. Your right leg is over your left. You can sit back into the chair, but let your sitting bones be rooted onto the seat. And with your right leg over, you're going to wrap your right arm under. Maybe your hands touch, maybe the back of your hands touch, or even holding your shoulders. Find the one that's most comfortable to you. So squeezing your thighs together, hug your rib cage in, lift your elbows, and then press your hands toward me a little bit. Can you feel that stretch between your shoulder blades? Oh, it feels really good. Those rhomboid muscles are these little muscles between our shoulder blades, and they often get really knotted up from the forward folding, the bending that we do all the time. So just add some stretch between your shoulder blades. Hug everything in, your thighs, your ribs. Sit up nice and tall. 3 more breaths in eagle pose. And release out. Let's switch sides. Crossing left leg over. Take your arms out into a T and then crossing left arm under. Lifting your elbows. Press your hands toward me. Again, remember, if it's not comfortable to have your hands touching, then just feel free to give your shoulders a hug. But keep sitting up nice and tall. Navel to spine. Strong core as we work on flexibility in hips and shoulders. And with any of these poses, feel free if you'd like to close your eyes for a few breaths and go inside, finding that balance, not only in our bodies, but our minds, our emotions, everything smoothing out. Think of like a calm, clear, placid lake. Wonderful. Release out, roll out your wrist, just get some fluidity, some movement into your joints and roll the other way. All right, moving back to our lateral stretches, we're going to take a side stretch here by placing your left hand on the seat of the chair. Right arm reaches out to the side. maybe stopping right there with your thumb face up to the sky feels appropriate. Or maybe reaching up and over a little bit more. I like to place my hand on the back of my head, but open up your elbow if you're doing that. Either way, feel that in your side rib cage. Let's take 5 breaths here in this lateral stretch. Creating that space for ourselves is so important every single day. You've given a lot to so many. Take this time for you now. One more breath. And release out. Let's take the other side. So with your right hand down, reach your left arm out to the side. Maybe if it's available, taking that arm up a little bit more, maybe taking your hand to the back of your head, but opening up your chest, your shoulder, keeping those collarbones broad, and take a few breaths here. Wonderful. Oh, gosh, that felt so good. Can you feel the difference? Maybe you feel an inch taller just from that lateral stretching right and left. I know what's going to probably help even more is to take that twist. Remember, we talked about 6 directions of our spine: forward, backwards, lateral right and left, and twist right and left. So let's move into that twist. So turning your knees to one side of your chair, take a hold of the back of the chair, sit up nice and tall so your sitting bones are rooted, and let your crown grow a little bit taller. And I'm turning toward the camera right now just to look at you, but for a moment I want you to take your head toward your back shoulder. It doesn't matter that you turn your head much, just let your gaze be in that direction. Take a couple breaths. And gently releasing the twist, let's take the other side. So holding on to the sides of the chair, let your sitting bones root, draw your belly button in, sit up really tall. Breathe in as you lengthen your spine, and as you exhale, gently twisting. Not pulling, not forcing. Let your head move in the direction of the twist. It's not important that you turn your head much at all, but just let it be in that direction. Take 3 more breaths. Ah, great. Feels so good to wring out our spine. Not only are the joints, but the muscles along your spine, the erector spinae muscles, can get really kinked up. So wonderful job getting some of that tension out of our body. Let's take a neck stretch. So allow your ear to drop towards your right shoulder. I like to take my hand and add a gentle neck stretch. And then perhaps reaching left arm out to the side with your thumb face up. Stretch through your fingers and take a few breaths here. Inviting any tension to drop off your shoulders. Use your hand to push your head back up to center, and let's switch sides. Dropping your ear towards your shoulder, perhaps using your hand for a gentle stretch. If you want to increase it, then reach your arm out to the side, thumb up, stretch all 5 fingers nice and broad. Two more breaths. Take your hand under your head, press your head back up to center. Let's stay in our chair for a pose that invites courage and balance, internal balance, called Warrior 2. So turning sideways, I like to turn my chair so that it's kind of got the corner here. It gives your hips more availability in this pose. So with your front knee bent, your back leg is stretched straight. Maybe you're pressing into the knife edge of your back foot. Your hands could stay on your hips. We want our shoulders over our hips. If you'd like, then bring your arms up to shoulder height, those thumbs still facing upward toward the sky, and gaze towards your front thumb. Keep drawing navel to spine. 4 more breaths, finding that fierceness, that courage, but always, always finding that self-compassion, self-love. Let's take reverse warrior. So your back hand will come to your back leg as you stretch your top arm up, that thumb face up to the sky. Again, your hand could stay on your hip, or maybe you want to take the back of your hand or your palm to the back of your head. 3 more big breaths. Another lateral stretch. And let's take the other side. So switching directions, bending that front knee, stretching, straightening that back leg, bringing your arms to shoulder height, shoulders over your hips. Really reach, stretch strongly through all 10 fingers, strongly. Perhaps gazing over your front hand. Keep drawing navel in. Do you feel that strength in your core when you do that? And let's reverse our warrior. Back hand, back leg. Keep that back leg nice and strong. Reaching that top arm up. It's okay if it doesn't go far. You can still likely feel that side stretch. Beautiful. Coming out of it, we're going to make our way down to the floor now for a couple deep stretches before we end our class today. So with everything, always move safely and slowly, feeling that balance. We're always working on balance with everything we do. So taking your hands to the chair and bringing one knee down at a time. All right. So let's go ahead and take Cobbler's pose. The soles of our feet are together. This is a hip opener. If you've got some blocks or something, that pillows would be wonderful under your knees. You may want to place some props under your knees if it's a little bit too much of a stretch today. So with hands on your ankles or your feet, just sit up nice and tall and take some breaths. Let your shoulders relax. Three more breaths. Wonderful. Let's make our way down onto our belly. We're going to prop up onto our forearms for a pose called Sphinx Pose. It's a gentle back bend, and you may want to bring your strap with you so we can get a stretch for our quad, which is in front of our thigh here. So propping onto your forearms, your shoulders are over your elbows, and you can stay right here. Or if you'd like to add that quad stretch, you could place your strap around the bottom of your foot and draw your foot in towards your bottom, rolling your shoulder open. We want to keep our chest broad always. Take a few breaths here in Sphinx Pose. And releasing the strap, and if you're taking the quad stretch, we'll switch sides. Drawing your right foot in, holding your foot, or using the strap. See if you can avoid sinking if you're here. Really press into your forearm. Take a few more breaths in this gentle back bend along with a quad stretch. Let's stretch back to a child's pose. So knees are wide. And with this child's pose, we can take something called thread the needle, which is a shoulder opener. So with knees wide, threading left arm under, your left palm will be face up. You can extend your right arm or maybe wrap it across your low back. Your head could rest on the earth, or maybe you would like to put it on a pillow. Let's take 5 breaths here. again. Hands under your shoulders. Let's switch sides. Threading your right arm under with your right palm up. Extending your left arm forward, or maybe you want to take it across the low back. You could even make a pillow and rest your head on your forearm. Take 4 more breaths. Wonderful. Press up. Let's find our way down onto our back as we get close to the end of our practice. So very mindfully coming down onto your back. Take your feet out to the edges of your mat. Your feet are maybe 2 feet apart. Your arms out into a T, and gently windshield wiper your knees from side to side, just releasing from the standing that we've done today. A little gentle massage into your sacrum. And then we'll take a pose that I call broken bridge. It's a constructive rest pose. So with your feet still wide, let your knees drop onto each other. Your hands can be out by your sides, palms up, or maybe you want to place one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart. Just take a few moments in silence here, letting your spine melt into the floor, letting your shoulders drop back. Let your breathing smooth out after the beautiful work you've done today. Feeling a smoothness in your body, smoothing out of breath, a smoothing out of emotions. Taking a few more long breaths here. And begin to return. Allow yourself to roll to one side, maybe propping onto your arm. And just taking a few rests on your side in fetal pose before we come back up. Use your hands to press yourself back up into a seat, sitting into Sukhasana, easy pose, or any pose that feels comfortable for your body. And just placing one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart again. And I invite you, this reminder today, and every day I love to say this mantra. A mantra is just like an affirmation. It will be okay. I will be okay. It will be okay. Yes. Give yourself permission to be okay. Thank you for joining me today from the Dominican Republic. I'm Kim.